You're listening to the home of all things Lindenwood sports. It's the Lions Den on KCLC HD through the Tower and on the Roar Network YouTube channel.
Alrighty, good evening, Lindenwood University, and welcome to the Lions Den. My name is Justin Powell. I am joined by my co-host, James Zugmeyer. And this week, unfortunately, we don't have an athlete for you, but we still have all the stats on your favorite sports, hot off the presses. James, just in case we got any new listeners out there for the first time, why don't you tell them what to expect from the show tonight?
All right, well, if you've never tuned in before, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, thank you for joining us. But the way we usually do things around here is we'd have an athlete of the week that we would interview for the first half of show, and then we head into the Lions Den, which will be our first segment here today, where we break down all of the current NCAA teams that are competing on campus currently. We go into their last few games, break those down, look ahead to the season in front of them, and this week we get to talk about some OVC playoffs, which I'm looking forward to. I know you are as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to go inside the Lions Den and break down every current Lindenwood sports team.
Alrighty, so for the first team that we are going to break down in the Lions Den is women's soccer. And I mean, what a way to start this off, right? They're currently 9-4-5 on the season, 5-2-2 in conference play, but I think the stats are really all semantics at this point. They're in the OVC championship, and they just played it in the semifinals this past Sunday, where they played against number 7, SIUE. Oh, correction. They played in the quarterfinals to advance to the semifinals because they beat SIUE 1-0. Mackenzie Compton, thank you very much. You are the reason that we are going to the semifinals because you were the one with the goal. With thanks to Tasneem Desderovich. SIUE, you had about 5 quarter kicks in the second half while dominating that possession, but you only had 3 shots on goal compared to Lindenwood's 8 on the day. I mean, just couldn't keep us away from that goal. Despite the loss, SIUE goalie Sarah Bozeman played tremendously, though, in the OVC playoffs. Stole a win versus UTM with several big saves to get it to penalty kicks and made several big saves to give her team a chance versus Lindenwood. All for naught, but still, give flowers where they need to be given.
Yeah, she took that team as a team that probably shouldn't have beaten UT Martin. Going into it, I was really thinking UT Martin was going to get the job done. That was a really back-and-forth, fun soccer game to watch. Unfortunately, I was on camera. It was cold. It went 2 overtimes, went to penalties. And thanks to her, and she almost made it go to extras again versus Lindenwood. But what I like about this game is you look at the possession time, you look at the opportunities SIUE had, kind of feels empty. You know, they dominated possession, they had these set pieces, but it never really felt like they were dominating the game. Like, Lindenwood definitely didn't play their best. There were a few times where I was thinking, okay, we're not holding on to the ball as much as we'd like to. The passes aren't clean. There's not a lot of lanes opening up. There were opportunities where I'm like, there's this opportunity for you to score if you can see the person to the side of you, but just didn't work.
Yeah.
So they changed their game plan. Said, okay, if we can't score the normal way, we're going to score with long kicks, long runs, and that's eventually what ended up happening as Desderovich sent Compton through. Sorry, I'm not a play-by-play announcer, so trying to do it in my head throws me off. But yeah, Desderovich, I mean, she was surrounded by Cougars, found one of her own teammates, who I don't know how she saw her, sent her through on a breakaway, able to put it past. Lindenwood moving on to the next round. And this is a game where they probably could have had more goals, too. They had multiple opportunities that got flagged for offsides. And, you know, you watch the game as a fan, you're like, I don't know if that was offsides. As a camera guy, I'm like, I'm not sure. The guys in the booth, we have access to instant replay. There were some bad offsides calls. Like, we got scanned a little bit in that one. But overall, good game. There was another penalty kick in this one that Lindenwood did not cash in on. That is another thing that, looking forward, this team needs to be better on. They're 50% on penalty kicks this year. Cannot happen. That number needs to be north of 75%. You have an opportunity between you and the goalie where the goalie's basically helpless, and we talked to Caroline Ritter last week. You're guessing. You are taking a guess. You're trying to read where they're going, but at the end of the day, it's a guess. The fact that we're at 50% right now, I want to see that go up, but I am liking what I'm seeing. Next game coming up, you got Little Rock. It's a rematch from last year's semis. We won 1-0 last year. But Little Rock, I think, is a little bit better than they were. And a big part of that is their transition game. I talk about those long runs, those long kicks. They set those up better than anyone else in the conference this year. So Lindenwood's back line is going to have to play a very organized style of soccer. They cannot get out of position because if they do, Little Rock is going to punish them in this one. That game is going to be in Cookeville, Tennessee, Thursday at 7 p.m. on ESPN+. Let's talk men's soccer now. Let's change gears a little bit here. The men's soccer team.
Sounds good.
They finished up the regular season 13-2-3, 6-2-2 in conference. A very nice season.
Oh, yeah.
One of the better teams in the country record-wise. They did a lot of things that show up nationally if you look them up. And I understand it's against OVC opponents, so it's not apples to apples. But realistically, this is one of the best seasons this team has ever had at any point in their history.
Yeah.
But they finished 0-1-1. Their last two games did not go the way most people expected unless you were really paying attention to the context. If you're a casual just looking at their website page and saying, well, dang, they lost to Western, they lost to Eastern. These are teams they should beat. You got to think about it that Western Illinois and Eastern were both sitting in a spot where they needed to draw or win no matter what against Lindenwood, or else they weren't going to make the playoffs.
No.
They were sitting in those last few spots, and Lindenwood didn't need to do a whole lot to clinch the 1 seed, so it was a little bit of, I don't want to call it a trap game, but it felt like a trap game against Eastern, where they came out, didn't have the energy, didn't execute.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, 1-1, not the way that you wanted to be it, but we're playing against people that, I mean, even with us tying EIU, we ended being the regular season champions. Let's go Lindenwood Lions. But that's with a tie. Like, we had such a good record going into this. We really didn't need any more wins. We were pretty much secure in our placement. These guys came in and they're like, man, if we don't even tie, we're done. Like, our season's over. Forget any sort of, like, hope of a championship or anything, which, I mean, go ahead and forget that anyhow. But, you know, they just played, I think, a little bit more aggressive, and I don't think Lindenwood wanted to attempt that because, you know, the 1 seed, they have that bye. They have, you know, they want to keep their guys healthy going forward so that way they can win that championship. It would be really kind of, I guess the best way to, foolhardy. Yeah, foolhardy.
That's a word I haven't heard in a while.
Right? Foolhardy to, like, play as hard as you possibly can to beat these guys when you're pretty much already done for the regular season.
I mean, I'm sure the head coach, Chris Birch, would have wanted a better effort, especially against Eastern. It just didn't seem like it was their night. But the Western game, this one was even bigger. This was straight up a playoff game for Western Illinois. They needed a win. They had to have it. Lindenwood played a pretty respectable game in this one, despite having nothing to play for, despite having the 1 seed locked up. Referees got involved a little bit. A 50-50 call gave Western a penalty kick, which they cashed in, and they executed really well on that one, too. They faked out Gavin Roberts with a stutter step, went the other way on him. Nothing he could do. Just a great play from them. But not a call, I think, at that point in the game that needed to be made. It looked like embellishment. I feel like it was a bit of a flop. Either way, it's 1-0. Then in the second half, you have a play where Lindenwood has possession. They're at midfield and just gets completely knocked off his feet. I don't remember exactly which player it was now off the top of my head, which I was hoping I would remember, so excuse me on that. But when you have possession and the other team gets no ball and your guy is on the floor, usually that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Not in this instance. Western Illinois goes down and scores. So just an unfortunate final game there. From that point on, it was get the subs in, rest the guys. You're not coming back from a 2-0 deficit that late in the game, especially when you don't need it. I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, the team was so good this year, and we know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe their non-con schedule was a little soft. Yeah, maybe they didn't finish the way they wanted to. But there's just so much talent here that I'm not going to be too worried about finishing 0-1-1 against teams that have to have it.
Exactly.
It's like when you got the President's Trophy wrapped up in hockey and you're playing against some scrub that wants the wild card 2 spot. You're like, all right, well, we don't need it. They need it. We're not going to go kill ourselves to get the W here. So,
well, a little bit of a tournament preview going forward. we have the bye. We don't have to play. So they got a little bit of a rest period, which is nice. Coming off of a loss, you just need to get that little bit of a break. However, they are currently set to face either SIUE again or have a rematch against WIU, Western Illinois, in the OVC semifinals. They have a 101 record against SIUE. They haven't lost. The least they have done against SIUE is a tie so far this season. Whereas with Western Illinois, they're sitting at 1-1. So, you kind of want to see SIUE advance, but it's Western Illinois. I think you'd almost have it on that one, too.
I almost disagree with you on that because of the interviews we've done so far this year. What you've heard from Ethan Blake. Because I get it, yes, we've had better results against SIUE, but historically that matchup has not gone our way. So
that one's more of a rivalry.
I can see what you mean there. It's like on paper, maybe SIUE, but Western... the first time we played them, especially at home, they really didn't do anything. Like, we did not play a good soccer game.
No.
And we still shut them down completely. So that's the question. I mean, I wish Gavin Roberts was here today. He was the person that we really wanted to interview, but maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
But yeah, it's like, dude, who do you want? And you can't really control it. You just got to prepare for both, and hopefully they can get it done on home turf. Now, home turf, they've been really good this year.
Home turf, they are absolutely great. They are 8-0-2. While away, they're 5-2-1. So while they're away, they don't have a bad record. They actually still have a very winning record. However, at home, they're quote-unquote undefeated. They have not technically lost a game at home. Not only that, they are outscoring their opponents by over 1.5 goals with, that official number from where the stat came from. Lindenwood scored 22 goals versus the 6 against them at home. So that home field advantage is really going to kick in for this team.
Right, and they get to spend the entire playoff at home.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to watch any of those playoffs, tune into ESPN Plus. I'll be on every single one of those broadcasts somewhere producing it. And we're going to give you guys some good-looking soccer. Also to show up in person.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, because I want to say this. We didn't talk about it with women's soccer. I was expecting with a home playoff game, given it was a little cold, given it's also a weekend, I figured we see some more students show up a little. And I mean, you're a student on the weekend. You're sleeping in. You're catching up on homework, whatever. I would just like to see, at least with the men's playoffs now, that you have a team that's a 1 seed that has a realistic chance of winning the championship. Every game's at home. If they make it to the championship, this needs to feel like a football game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it will, judging off of my 4 years of being at Lindenwood. But if you are a student listening to this is a really fun team and a great opportunity to watch some really talented soccer players. So I do highly recommend showing up, especially considering you get in for free.
Oh, yeah. Look, talking to Ethan Blake, pretty early on in their season, I mean, the energy that he had talking about this team, talking about his fellow players, and talking about the game that he loves to play and everything, you could tell that he needs that fan support. Maybe need is a bit of a stretch. They want the fan support more than they need it. However, I don't think it would be a horrible thing. So it might be cold. It might rain a little bit. But y'all showed up in the rain for the football team. Come support a different kind of football team, a football team. Instead, I had to get the pun in there.
That was disgusting. Well, let's transition over to football because we got some good news this week.
I know. So, 4-5, 3-2 in conference. They played TSU at Nissan Stadium, which we talked a little bit beforehand. Shocked me. I didn't know TSU played at, the Titan Stadium, but I mean...
They certainly play like them.
Yeah, I mean, the records match each other, don't
Tennessee State. My bad.
Played at Nissan Stadium this past Saturday to improve to 4-5. And it was a very productive day for both Steve Hall and Jared Rhodes because they both had 2 tutties each. But I think the thing that shocked me the most... And we talked a little bit beforehand, it was another quiet outing for Rico Bond. And that's not saying that Rico doesn't produce. Rico is probably one of the best wide receivers in the entirety of the OVC right now. But they just keep teaming up on him, and they cannot allow him to get any sort of yardage. So every game it just seems to get quieter and quieter on Rico, and I think that's a shame.
Well,
that's a shame.
But it's great because eventually teams are going to be like, okay, he hasn't produced in a while.
Yeah.
And one of these games, they're going to make the mistake of just letting him go 1v1 with a corner, and he's going to burn him.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that day. But I like the idea right now that you have a player on your team that takes a corner and a safety on most routes he's out there and says, all right, we're taking them out of play. They got to take care of Rico. In this game, you look at the last two, given last week, I had my thoughts on it. Yeah. You heard my thoughts on it. If you tuned into OVC Game Day, you really heard my thoughts on it because that's not a Lindenwood-sponsored show. But you saw the passing attack wasn't there last week. You look at this week, you're like, well, they didn't do a whole lot. It's because they did it on the ground. This was the most rushing yards they had in a game all season, 222 on the ground. And when you look at this team this year, when they are rushing for less than 150 yards in a football game, they are 1-4. But when they are above that, they are winning games. And it's not even like 150 where the running backs are getting it done. Most of the time, it's Nate Glantz.
Yeah.
This week, it was we ran through the tackles. We haven't done that all season long. As a matter of fact, we haven't had a game like this where two running backs went over 90 yards since September 30th of 2023.
Whoa.
And we got killed in that football game. I was on camera for that football game. That was a bad game. They found a way to do it. That Lindenwood had that identity last year that they could run the football. It hasn't been there this year, but if they can figure it out and keep this going, especially with Steve Hall looking the way he is now, because you knew Jared Rhodes was good. You knew Steve Hall was good last year, but just didn't look like himself. Now you got two running backs you can rely on a little bit. I like that. It bodes well for this team moving forward. They got Western Illinois coming off their bye this week at 1 p.m. on Saturday. That's going to be on the road. Last time Western Illinois played football, they won a football game in a way they hadn't since 2010. Ooh. It was their first time winning a game where they scored under 20 points against an opponent that is in their division since 2010. Because Tennessee State, respectfully on offense, did not have a good game. Western Illinois figured some things out. And you look at them and say, okay, you scored under 20 points against Tennessee State. That's not impressive.
Yeah.
Look at the rest of their season. Western Illinois has a really good offense. The defense is going to be tested for Lindenwood this week. Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. And also looking even further ahead, it's unlikely. I'd say the percentage points probably under 5%. But if UT Martin loses another game this year, Tennessee Tech loses out, Lindenwood could technically claim a co-OVC Big South championship if they went out as well, because they would all have two losses. Lindenwood would get a co-championship. They wouldn't win the tiebreaker, but at least it's something they could claim.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to men's hockey. Well, we are back to 500 on the season. It's a beautiful sight to see. 5-0, swept Ferris State. And the weird thing about Ferris State is they have one win this year.
Yeah.
They beat the number one team in the country when they did it. The hockey is such a fun sport at the collegiate level. And that team is not like, okay, they shouldn't have been number one. They're still number 3. It's not like it was fluky and that they shouldn't have had the 1 seed at the time. They are still a good hockey team. So the fact that Ferris State got that win is just ever more perplexing moving forward.
Yeah.
But what I liked in these games from Lindenwood, they got ahead early, which is always huge. Scoring those first goals in any game is great. They had a shutout, which is something they have not done in a while. Shutout victory, 1-0 in game 1. And a big part of that this weekend, I understand that game 2 had a bit more scoring. You had a true freshman in Liam Bierman who was outstanding in net. He was incredible once again for the Lindenwood Lions. 9.65 save percentage over the weekend. You look on the year as a whole, 977 with a .65 goals against average. This is a true freshman playing in NCAA hockey, and he's your backup. You got to feel pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah.
To say you got 2 goalies that are just that good. You look at this week, they got the week off, so they're going to have some practices. They're going to work on things. They're going to come back with a 6-game homestand. So get your butts over to the Centene Community Ice Center and let's watch some Lindenwood hockey, guys. They got exhibitions, that's not a word, exhibitions versus ACHA D1 Grand Canyon University. And then up next, the games will count again, Robert Morris and Long Island. These are teams that Lindenwood has historically struggled against, But this year, I like the makeup of the team a bit more. I like the structure. I like the way they're playing. I feel like we're going to fare better. And this is an opinion from a guy who has never played hockey, but watches a lot of it.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I imagine coming out of that weekend, those 2 weekends, they should be above 500 on the year. I believe in this team. I don't know where your thoughts are on it, but I think with these matchups, I know we struggled historically. This team just feels better this year. They look better this year. They have more depth this year.
I think interviewing Gio a few weeks ago, he really kind of explained it well, how the dynamic of this team that, they might be 500 right now. They're not top 10 in the country, but they're still aggressive. They still fight. They still get their wins, and they do it respectable the entire way. And yeah, they might struggle a little bit. You might see some series splits going forward through the rest of the season, but I still think that they're going to end at about 500 or higher. I still have high hopes for this team, just like you do. I do not think that this is a losing hockey team. This is by far a winning hockey team. So, with that being said, get yourselves over to the Centene Community Ice Arena and go see some Lindenwood hockey. You got 6 games to go to, back to back to back. Go watch some hockey. It's fun.
Right, and these are teams that Lindenwood matches up against. Like the Grand Canyon Series, it's kind of whatever. I mean, it's exhibitions. If you want to see Lindenwood win, go to those games, and I'm crossing my fingers now that I say that. And those are games where you might see some different people playing. Yeah. You might see some guys being called up and getting an opportunity to get into the lineup because you're playing against a team that, in theory, you should beat. And then after that, those are games that really make or break your season. You're playing people that are on your level. I shouldn't say people, teams that are on your level. Those should really tell you how Lindenwood matches up. Oh, yeah. Because you were really competitive against Miami, Ohio. You lost by a combined 2 goals in that series. You couldn't lose them any closer. No. You played good hockey in both those games. Let's go get them back.
Speaking of hockey, and speaking of playing good hockey, let's swap over to women's hockey, where last week we talked about how they were going against RIT. They had not won since January 20th of 2024. We are currently in November. We are now in November of 2025, and they have beat RIT. They beat them. Now, it's a split weekend. They lost the second one 1-7. However, that first game against RIT, they won 3-0. So that means they are up to 2-10-0, 1-3-0 within the conference. This is the first win that they have against this program, against the RIT program since 2024. And that ends a losing streak that they have for at least one of these teams. And a little bit of a give-back game for the Atlantic Hockey America tournament last year where they lost to them as well. And I think the biggest thing I want to say about this one, and the biggest, sort of kudos I want to give to this team, this was an all-around team win. This wasn't a one person scored all 3 of those all 3 of those goals. This was 1 goal per period and 3 different goal scorers. And you would even see some of those similar names in the assists. So all 3 of those goals in different periods from different goal scorers, it really was just something you wanted to see out of this women's hockey team to work together as a team to progress themselves further into the season. Now, again, 2-10 on the season, you kind of want to see a little bit more productively, but that's a good jump start.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. That's a good place to kind of get your footing, realize, hey, we can work together, we can dominate these teams, we can win. Now,
dominate. Still, 3-0. You played a complete game. That is a struggle for this team right now, is to put together a full 60 minutes. They did it.
Yeah.
That's a win.
It's possible.
That is small baby steps in the right direction for a program that is trying to figure out what they are and what they want to be moving forward.
Exactly.
And speaking of teams that took some baby steps over the course of the last few weeks, the women's volleyball team.
Yeah.
We came into this year wondering, what are we going to get? What team are we going to get? We're losing all these seniors, all these upperclassmen. We got new faces all over the place. for a while there, it looked dire. We are back to 500 in both the overall record and in conference. We're 10-10, 6-6 in conference. They won back-to-back 3-1 matches against Western Illinois after their loss to SIUE last week. Amelia Thoreau set a program record with 62 assists on Friday, which is the most in Lindenwood's D1 history and the most assists recorded by any player in the OVC this season. I saw a lot of nice things. I'm going to start off with the negative so we can finish with the positive, okay?
Hey, it's a great way to start.
There are still things with this team that they want to clean up, as with any team.
Yeah.
I feel like they get out of rotation a lot. And it's not an I feel, I see it. It's a fact.
Yeah.
They will admit it. The communication and chemistry is not quite there yet. There's a lot of double committing going on. People are wondering on who's going to get the ball. And that leads to delayed reactions, which leads to bad hits, which leads to bad sets, which leads to poor attacks and attack errors. Because you look at the statistics for the conference this year. Lindenwood matches up well against a lot of these teams statistically, and then you look at the errors and you're like, wow, they are giving a lot of points to their opponents. It happened against Western, but guess what? You won. If you keep winning and you find ways to grind through these matches where you're not at your best, you establish an identity, you start building your strengths, and it's kind of around the players. You know, you have to build around your best players. It was senior night. Faith Atkins was graduating. She came in, had a 500 hitting percentage on her senior night.
Hey.
Any volleyball player will take a 500 hitting percentage.
Oh, yeah.
She was really good. And she also gave a great post-game interview. She had a lot of energy, which is nice because usually when we do the post-game interview, it's the classic athlete of, you know, they give you the vanilla responses. She was happy. She was celebrating. You could tell that senior night meant a lot to her, and she showed up big for her team on that night. So props to Faith Atkins. You balled out. Jade Roth. She's had these ups and downs this year where some nights she's really good, other nights she's making a lot of errors. She was good in this series. I really liked what I saw there. You had 4 players winning OVC Player of the Week honors. Ashley Gluck, Offensive Player of the Week. Dana Gribb, Defensive Player of the Week. Setter of the Week. It goes to Amelia Thoreau because you're literally setting records for the program. I think you have to win there. And then Freshman of the Week, Kylie Ritchie, who was also really good in that series. Their next matches.
4 week, of the week players from Lindenwood in and of itself. Man.
Now, I don't know if it's just like voter fatigue. I mean, I think they earned it. They played really well.
They earned it.
But you almost never see that. It's like when we do the OVC game day show and you see like a random guy and you're like, well, I don't know if he was the most deserving. Oh, yeah, they hadn't won one this year.
Yeah.
I think this is part of it, but still, I don't want to take away from the honor. Because
No, not at all. These women played well and deserved every single one of these because, I mean, like you said, they set records. And Faith Atkins, while she is not on these of the week awards, having that high of a hit percentage on her senior night, I mean, you can't ask for much more from this team. They all showed up for each other and they balled out.
Yeah, no, it was a good weekend. And I will say this as well. These matches are so important right now. Up next, you got SEMO. That's going to be Friday and Saturday in Cape Girardeau. They are currently tied with us for the last spot in the OVC tournament. So right now, if it started today, both of us would be in the tournament. Are we going to split and kind of stand pat, or is one team going to take that big jump and leave the other one in the dust? This series means a lot. And we also talked to Autumn Backs earlier this year. It sounds like you had someone from our program going over to their program, switching sides. I ain't going to name names, but you know who you are. It would be nice to get that win and also put yourself in a good spot. Because once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
3 stars of the week. Let's do it.
It's time for the 3 stars of the week.
So, first star of the week, we're going to throw it back to football, and we're going to go to Steve Hall. Now, statistically, he wasn't Lindenwood's best running back this week, but he's got back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. This is the first time in his career that he has that. Helped Lions to the most rushing yards so far this season with 222 rushing yards so far. He's also got 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. And looks like that Steve Hall that won the Big South OVC Offensive Freshman of the Year last year. It looks like he's trying to return to form of what he had last year. He's really showing out. And, I mean, back-to-back 100-yard games, especially in college, that's difficult to do no matter who you are. So, Steve Hall, you are our third star of the week. If you want to go ahead and go to the second one.
Yeah, we'll move on to our second star of the week. We got Mackenzie Compton. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think you're tired of hearing us talk about it. We got a soundbite because she scored a huge goal this week for your Lindenwood Lions.
And now here again, Compton, she's got space, one-on-one with Bozeman, right-footed shot, and she scores! Shades of the 2024 OVC tournament, Mackenzie Compton strikes gold, and the Lions lead.
Well, not only did she score that goal this week, she was named to the All-OVC second team. And look, this year was not what she expected. I'll be real, nobody expected her to not score in the first 10 goals of the season. But since then, she still was able to finish second in the team in goals with 3 on the season, scored the game winner, which you heard right there. And she's been good in the OVC tournament in her career. Last year, she was the MVP of that tournament. She showed up big in this one, helped Lindenwood get the win. Deserving of our second star of the week.
Very much so. And now, the top star of the week. We're going to go back to volleyball. And who else but Amelia Throw as our top star of the week. Second year with them, first season appearing in games so far for the Lindenwood Lions. Averaged 4.3 assists per set in her last season before coming here, and averaging nearly 7 assists per set this year alone. Broke the program's single-game record for assists on Friday, won OVC Setter of the Week. And, you know, this team needed players to step up, especially with us talking to Autumn Backs earlier this season. And Amelia has done that. She stepped up. She showed she could be that leader. And while I don't think there's one specific leader, she is definitely one of the top star leaders of that team right now.
Well, I will say this. It's always weird when we don't have an athlete, but I think this was a really fun week. And with all those big games coming up, guys, please, I need you to go to the games. Also, if you do go to the games and you're one of the few people there with the main media broadcast, we're going to find you. You're going to be on the broadcast. You'll make it on TV. How about that?
I mean,
you get in for free and you're probably going to be on TV at some point. You can make a funny face on camera. We had a kid dancing last week in the stands. He danced for like 2 minutes straight, and we just left the camera on him.
Even better, wear an inflatable frog costume. See if you get spotted.
Yeah, shout out to the guy at the Anoa concert last night wearing the inflatable frog costume. That was great. No, I do want to say we had the volleyball broadcast, and there was some kid in the stands just busting it down. I mean, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. I mean, we were all dying in the control room. A shout out to that kid. He was on camera for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, just straight up having the time of his life. And he knew he was on camera too.
Was he doing like the walk like an Egyptian dance or something?
I don't know what he was doing, but we were in a trance. Shout out that guy. He really did bring the energy. I like the fan support for senior night. But that is all for this week. If you missed anything from this episode of The Lions Den, be sure to subscribe to the Roar Network YouTube channel. Everything will be there. And if you're struggling to find that for whatever reason, go check out Linden Link. Every episode is posted on Linden Link as well. But this was a fun one. We're going to have more stuff for you next week. We're going to hopefully have an athlete. But for everyone that's listening, have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you for listening to The Lions Den. We're on air every Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on the tower, and all recordings are on the Roar Network YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Lions!